I actually do have like from some of the first sentences there in on my system on my computer somewhere, but like I just had a character who had so many siblings she didn't know why she was born. It's like, you know, that feeling of being unwanted. So I wasn't thinking horizontally about how they all ganged up and ganged together and split off into different factions and, you know, had friendships, and all of that came later. And glancingly, she didn't know what the hell that was about. She didn't know why her parents reproduced so frequently. She had, you know, and I did know people like that when I was growing up. There were some very large families, and they kind of said, you know, they had a kind of what? Were they that religious? Well, anyway, so Veronica loses her brother Liam tragically to suicide. And once he is gone, she thinks, well, you know, why was he there in the first instance? Nobody wanted him. And then nobody was particularly nice to him. And it all went wrong. And now he's dead. So she's mourning existentially as much as anything else, as well as the person, you know. For the 12 siblings, the 12 living siblings, or 11 living siblings now that Liam is gone, I quite naturally started to label them the way families label each other. You know, the annoying one. Oh no, it's the annoying one. That's a great family label. And why are you always the annoying one? So I had, you know, the dreamy one, Beatrice. I had Mossy the psychotic, who I was delighted to see became an anaesthetist and lived in Clontarf. So I had quite a lot of pleasure kind of assigning them all their different roles and micro roles, you know, because they shade into each other or divide. And Liam clearly was the problematic one. You know, the wildly self-interested one. Anyway, so there are a number of labels. They gather really for the wake, and they sort of label. There's a priest, Ernest, who is a priest in Peru. They also exist in those big families. It was at, you know, they were at a time when Ireland had a lot of social mobility as well. So being a family of 12 didn't mean that you wouldn't go to college, for example, because it was free education. So it was kind of interesting to see how they dropped out or thrived within the society where they moved. And then the historical characters are much more sort of visually vivid. As you say, do you see them? Yes, I do see those in and they're costumed. And I see, you know, Charlie's car, and I see Ada's kitchen, and I see, you know, so they're much more visually imagined for some reason. So when I'm talking to students, I say you can manage a crowd as a character. I mean, a landscape can work as a character and function as a character in a book, but a crowd can also be a character, and a family can move as one, or it can splinter into the different kind of entities. And if you're going to splinter them, labels are great fun if they're not too obvious. My characters very seldom look in the mirror, and they're very seldom physically described. Although I do, but they have I hope, vivid sensory lives, so they experience the world. I work quite close in with them, you know, so I'm with them as they experience things. So if the character looks in the mirror, they'd say, "Oh, I look tired." They don't say, "Oh, I am blonde." Do you know what I mean? So it's very close into their point of view, and I love when they speak and start to speak, because dialogue is completely transparent. The character owns the page, and the character is directly talking to the reader. And so the control isn't quite in the writer's pen anymore. It's kind of elsewhere. And so I do love to get them chatting. Maybe a song. I should get more of them singing. I had a story in the New Yorker just a few months ago, called "The Bridge Stood Fast," and there is no wake because it's too middle class a family. And just at that time, there is a reposal, as you would find in the States. So yeah, wakes went out and then came back in sort of suburban Dublin. There's very little dancing. Nobody kind of knocks over the coffin or anything like that. It's just it's but everyone comes. Well, it's really always interesting to have a body in the front room, you know. And yes, I mean, all those other things. It's about food and about who gathers in the kitchen, who is supposed to sit with the body, how that's affected, the feeling that the body might need company is still very current, actually. That it's not left alone. So it's. I find that Ireland as a society is not perhaps death-minded is too strong a word, but that we do compass it, we do let it happen, and we do honour it as a kind of social and personal event.